Hi friends, Renee Keys here with Carolina Creative. Good morning. I am here with card making ideas for you today, and today I am taking inspiration from my bird feeder. I have gone back and I'm using the Wintry Treetops bundle. So it's both stamps and dies, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to use that to kind of put a little more summery spin on the birds. If you're following me on my Facebook page, hopefully you're going to see the video first. I have a Bird Buddy feeder with a camera, and we have a lot of visits from Cardinals at our bird feeder. So that's what I'm going to make today, are Cardinals. Let me flip my camera down here to my work area. I've just picked a garden green card base. I used one of these wood grain timber type background embossing folders, and this was a crumb cake. So just that's very neutral for my background. And then I have stamped with this stamp and die cut. I was trying to save some time because I'm going to do some coloring today. So I've already die cut this bow, and I'm going to color that. And then with gray granite, I have stamped the pair of birds. You can stamp this in black too. I just decided I didn't want it to be quite that bold. So I've got this pair of birds that I'm going to color, and I've die cut that. So those are my two die cuts for today. I'm going to set all that aside so I can start to focus on this. And my card insert, you can see I just stamped the head of the one little bird. So I'm going to color both of them at the same time and make them match. Okay, so the first thing I think I'm going to do is work on my bow here. And I'm going to do a little watercoloring with my Wink of Stella pen. And I usually keep, I opened this too far. Yep, I keep some ink in the lid of my ink pad just for this reason. I can pull some of that off either with a painter, an aqua painter, or like this with my Wink of Stella. So this is going to give me a little shimmer along with the color. I like to do this. I think it's really fun. It's relaxing. I don't try to get every nook and cranny colored in. I'm just dabbing this. The bigger leaves, yes, I will try to get those colored in. And I'm trying to make some of these really big ones a little darker. So let's grab some color there and put some color there. You can do a little shading, a little shadowing here. One side a little darker than the other. Just get these little leaflets up here with just a hint of green. Like I say, I'm not trying to get all of them. I'm just putting some color on some of them. And it gives the effect that they're all colored in unless somebody really looks close. So I've got another big one there. I'm trying to be gentle and not use too much Wink. I can see the shimmer here, and so somebody else, when they pick up the card, they're going to see it as well. All right, I'm going to wipe that off and put my Wink of Stella away. And that's one of my pens that's starting to get a little light on. Wink of Stella, I'm going to have to replace it shortly. All right, set that ink aside for now. I'm ready to start coloring. I was going to use real red for berries. So I'm just going to go ahead and do all the berries here. And I'm using my Stampin' Blends. And so this is really going to make these pop. Pop right off the page. And then I'm going to go ahead and do them on this other, make sure I got them all, this other bough as well, this other branch. So they're all going to match. And I'm going to intertwine them together when I put the card together. So I am just, and as you know, you can do some shading with this too. So I'm going to go back over these where the little circle is within the berry and just try to make that a little darker. I'm just putting a dot there. Just give it a little shading like that, like that. Yep, easy. Okay, that's that. I'm going to use, I happen to have the dark cinnamon cider. This was a retired color, but any shade of brown will work. And so I'm going to use this for the branch that the birds are perched on. And just drawing in some lines here. There's a lot of sketching and artist lines. and I'm just kind of following that. And so I'm not trying to be too precise, just dashing and dotting it on there. There we go. So I have the effect of the branch. That's that. I can set that one aside. I'm going to go ahead and do the bird's beaks. Sometimes they're not quite this yellow, but I'm going to give them a daffodil bird beak. All right, so I think I'm done with those colors. I have pulled out my cherry cobblers, the dark and light, and I have pulled out, this is from that flesh tone set, so this is SU 800, but it's just a really nice neutral color, so I'm going to use this on my birds. Ooh, and I forgot to do my bird beak down here. Before I start setting colors aside, need to make sure I've got all of them done. Okay, so I think I'm going to start from the edges and work in. So I'm going to use the dark cherry cobbler and just follow some of these artist lines with the darkest colors. Yep, make sure I get his head. And I'll go over that again in a minute. And then I'm going to go back over this with the light and just kind of fill some of this in. So it'll be two-toned. But it will still, I could actually use the other end of this one to fill in here. Let's try that. Oh, that one, that's not a nice point anymore. It's been used and well loved. Okay. So now on her, I'm going to use the lighter of the two, but I will just do a little bit of shading here. She just has this little tinge of color, which you can see when you see the birds up close, that they actually do have that. I think I'm going to do the outline of their heads next. This is dark basic black. And so you know what, maybe I'll go a little lighter. Let me see if I like it. I'm going to try using the light basic black, and I just want to use the pen end and see if that's going to be enough if I go over it a couple times. I don't think it's going to be enough on him. Her it might be, because she's a little lighter. Yeah, I don't think that's enough on him. So let's go. And if it's really dark, I will lighten it up. With the color lifter. Now I'm going to use that flesh tone color and color the rest of her in, because if you get to see them up close, they really do have a much more neutral. I'm going to give him just a little splash of color there. They are a little more neutral than you would realize, but then the red also pops when you see them up close. So I'm definitely going to fade her out and put these black and grays together. Him just a little bit. And I may make their eyes darker too with the dark. I'm afraid that they're just going to disappear. So there's his eye. Hers was round. Okay. And I think I'm going to go, nope, wrong one, lifter. I'm going to go just a little lighter, and I still need to do my other bird down here. So let's make them look similar. I started with the light, and I gave her just a little touch here, and a touch there, and a touch on her breast. And then I gave her a little outline here. And the females definitely don't have as much of the black on them as the males. I was surprised to actually see that. So let's blend this in, lighten that up. And I need to make her eye darker too if I'm going to match those. So let's do that. Like I told you, I was going to spend some time doing a little coloring here, so that's what I'm doing. Having fun with my blender pens, and let me use the brush end on this and just fill in her feathers. Stroke, stroke, stroke. Maybe a little darker along that wing line. So I'll add some there, like that. Okay. I do want to put, I need a couple sentiment stamps. So I have also die cut using the circles. And I'm going to make this into a birthday card. I've had several ideas for what I was going to do with this, but I decided to go with birthday. So I was sticking with my green theme and using the sentiment that just simply says birthday wishes. This came out of Simply Said. And I think it's a really nice, I like the font. I'll show you here in a second, because it is script, but it's kind of relaxed. It's not a real fancy script. I think it's really pretty. And then inside, I'm just going to stamp enjoy your day. And this was from a retired set. I just went looking for something that was just a nice generic message, and I thought that was going to be appropriate. So I've got enjoy your day. I've got my birds. I am going to add a little wink of Stella now to give them their feathers some shine and sparkle. I'm going to put a little in here too for the inside. And then I think the leaves here, and maybe a couple dots on some berries so they kind of glisten. Okay, I don't want to go overboard. And so I think I've got everything now to assemble. You can see I've got all these parts and pieces here. So let's see how this is going to work. I'm going to start on the inside. There's my garden green card base. And I'm going to dot my glue. I just used this yesterday, so you would think it would be free-flowing, but that's not always the case. There we go. Dot some glue. And where I got a little heavy, I'll spread it. There we go. Dot, 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 dot. That's what I like it to look like. So it's not so heavy that it'll squish out when I press this down. And, oh, I can definitely see the Wink of Stella on that bird. I like it. Okay, so that's step one. Now I'm going to go ahead and mount with adhesive my embossed layer. I like to use some embossing. It gives the card some nice texture. You know, when somebody picks this up and puts it in their hands, they'll actually be able to feel that wood grain. And it's going to show through. I thought about using like a tree trunk or something along those lines, and I just ended up doing it this way. So that gives me my sentiment. And now I'm going to work around that because I want the birds to be overlapping, but, you know, not totally. So I might have to angle this, angle this a little bit. And then figure out how to tuck this in here. It's an odd shape. You know what? I think I've done this before. I'm going to cut this apart. I'm just going to make this into two pieces, and then I can spread this out however I want to use it so that the berries and the leaves and things will show. So now I can tuck one half over this way and the other half at whatever angle I want it to be. Instead of going straight down, I can, I'll play with it, but I can make sure that there's more berries showing on that side. So I'm kind of liking that. So let me begin assembling. I think I'm going to start with my sentiment here first. Now, any parts of these, you could use dimensionals to pop off the back. I'm not. I'm just going to go ahead and make this all flat because there's going to be quite a bit on the card front. So knowing that's roughly where I want the birds to go, I'm going to put adhesive, big old strip. Oh, and I got it on my work surface. I'll have to clean it now. I'm going to hold the birds roughly where I want them so that I can, have the berries showing on the end and underneath. And then I think I'll put the birds on next and then fill in. But I'm going to make sure I leave space so that I can tuck that loose piece under here. So I'm putting adhesive in spots, but not everywhere, just so that I can do some tucking and playing. So I had this kind of at an angle. I think it was like that. The birds, the berries, and maybe I won't even press that end down yet until I know where I want this to go. Then I'll tuck it all down and make sure it's adhered well. So this, Yep, I'm kind of liking, wrap this around a little bit. Yep, yep, yep. So it's almost the way, it would have gone off the card if I had left it, but it's close. I think I need another dot. I'm going to use a little liquid glue. That just wasn't quite staying flat enough for me. And so the last thing would be maybe some rhinestones. I was thinking red to go with the bird. I'm really on a red kick today, you can tell. But I have some of these. These are retired too, but these little red gems, you could use just the clear rhinestones. I think they'd be equally cute. Yeah, I like it. I like to have just a little bit of sparkle. Now, I even thought this might make a cute, I shouldn't say cute. This might also make a very nice sympathy card. A lot of people think if there's Cardinals around, you know, your loved one is near. And so I thought, well, it could say, you know, with sincere sympathy, or you're in my thoughts, and it could be a really sweet sympathy card as well. But I made this into a birthday card. Like I said, I was inspired by watching the birds at my feeder. So here's my pair of cardinals. We do have several pairs in the yard here. And my inside message with just a little bird on the inside. So that's my card making tip for today. Have fun. You can make those birds look like anything you want them to look like. And in this case, I was trying to simulate Northern Cardinals. So if you like the products and the projects you've seen here, you can find me at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative. I'm also on the Stampin' Up! Network. It's Renee Keese at stampinup.net. Thanks for joining me today. Stay tuned for the next video.